The room didn't go silent because the music stopped. It went silent because of where his hand was. I was standing less than 10 feet away. I was wearing a gold dress that stretched tight over my 6-month baby bump, and my feet were throbbing inside heels I had no business wearing. But I stood there anyway, smiling like the supportive wife I was supposed to be. My husband, Adrian, was standing in the center of the ballroom. He is a neurosurgeon, the kind of man who holds human lives in his hands every day. He is tall, white, handsome in that sharp, terrifying way that makes people want to please him. And standing right next to him, with her hand resting casually on his tuxedo jacket, was Francesca. Francesca, the new head of pediatrics. Blonde, petite, and wearing a red dress that looked like it was painted on her skin. They were laughing. It was a private laugh, the kind that shuts out the rest of the world. Then right there under the massive chandeliers of the hotel ballroom, on Christmas Eve, with 300 of the city's wealthiest people watching. She leaned in. She didn't hesitate. She grabbed the lapels of his jacket, pulled him down and smashed her lips against his. And he didn't pull away. He kissed her back. The gas that went through the room sucked the air right out of my lungs. My hand flew to my stomach instinctively, protecting the baby, protecting the little girl inside me who didn't know yet that her father was a monster. I froze. I should have screamed. I should have marched over there and slapped them both. But shock is a funny thing. Paralyzes you. Before I tell you what I did next, the thing that made the whole room gasp louder than the kiss did, you need to understand how we got here. Because if you have ever felt like you were screaming underwater while everyone else around you was breathing just fine, then you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video if you've ever been made to feel crazy when you knew deep down you were right. Because I'm about to show you how I made them pay. It started 3 hours earlier. Helen, hurry up, we're going to be late. Adrian's voice echoed up the stairs. It wasn't angry, just impatient. Cold. I was looking at myself in the mirror. My name is Helen Williams. I used to be a model before I met Adrian, before the pregnancy. Now, looking at my reflection, I saw a woman who looked tired. My skin, usually glowing and dark, looked dull. My hair was pulled back because I didn't have the energy to style it. I'm coming, I yelled back. I walked down the stairs. Adrian was checking his watch. He didn't look up when I reached the bottom step. He was typing on his phone. Do I look okay? I asked. He glanced up for half a second. You look fine, Helen. But the car is waiting. This is the biggest fundraiser for the hospital. Donors are waiting. Fine. I looked fine. The ride to the hotel was quiet. The city was lit up for Christmas. Snow was piled up on the sidewalks, dirty and gray. I stared out the window, rubbing my belly. Is Francesca going to be there? I asked. I tried to keep my voice steady. Adrian sighed, a loud, heavy sound that filled the car. She is the head of pediatrics, Helen. Of course she is going to be there. Why do you always start this? It's Christmas Eve. Can you just be normal for one night? I just asked a question, Adrian. You asked with an accusation in your voice, he snapped. Francesca is a colleague. She is a brilliant surgeon. Stop being so insecure. It's not attractive. I bit my tongue. Insecure. That was his favorite word lately. If I asked why he came home at 2 a.m. smelling like vanilla perfume, I was insecure. If I asked why he locked his phone, I was paranoid. We arrived at the gala. It was huge. The decorations were silver and blue. Waiters walked around with trays of champagne I couldn't drink. As soon as we walked in, people swarmed Adrian. He was the star. The genius brain surgeon who saved lives. I was just the accessory. The pregnant black wife on his arm. I saw the way the older women looked at me. Their eyes lingered on my stomach, then on Adrian doing the math, wondering if he married me just because I got pregnant. They didn't know we had been married for 3 years. They didn't know I used to have my own money, my own life, before he slowly convinced me that I didn't need to work, that he would take care of everything. Dr. Vance. Wonderful speech last week. A man in a tuxedo shouted. Adrian beamed. He came alive in the spotlight. He let go of my hand to shake hands with the donors. I drifted back, slowly getting pushed out of the circle. That's when I saw her. Francesca was standing by the bar. She wasn't looking at the crowd. She was looking at Adrian. Her eyes were locked on him like a predator tracking a deer. She took a sip of her drink, leaving a red lipstick stain on the rim of the glass. She saw me looking. She didn't look away. She smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was a smirk. She raised her glass to me, a tiny mocking toast, and then turned her back. My heart started hammering in my chest. I needed to sit down. I found a chair near the edge of the room. My back was killing me. I sat there for 20 minutes watching my husband charm the room. He hadn't looked for me once. Then the music stopped. A man with a microphone walked onto the small stage. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention. It is Christmas Eve, and we have a special announcement. The hospital board has voted for the Doctor of the Year. Please welcome Dr. Adrian Vance. The applause was deafening. Adrian walked up the steps. He looked like a king. He took the microphone. "Thank you," he said, his voice smooth like velvet. "I couldn't do this alone. Medicine is a team sport. And there is one person who has been my right hand, my support, and my inspiration through the hardest surgeries this year." I started to push myself up from the chair. My heart fluttered. Was he talking about me? Was he finally going to acknowledge the long nights I stayed up waiting for him? The way I managed his entire life so he could focus on work? I took a step forward, a smile forming on my face. "Please join me on stage," Adrian said, looking out into the crowd. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me. Dr. Francesca Miller. My knees almost gave out. I sank back down. The crowd clapped, but there was a murmur of confusion. Usually the wife goes up for these things. Francesca walked past me. She walked with a sway in her hips that was unmistakable. She went up the stairs and stood next to him. They looked perfect together. The handsome doctor and the beautiful blonde surgeon. They looked like a couple on a wedding cake. "Francesca has been instrumental," Adrian said, turning to her. "I couldn't have done it without her." He handed her a bouquet of roses that someone passed to him. Red roses. Francesca took them. She leaned into the microphone. "Adrian is being modest. He is a genius. I just keep him focused." She laughed. He laughed. They looked at each other. The air between them was thick, charged with electricity. It was intimate. Too intimate for a gala. Too intimate for colleagues. And then it happened. The clock on the wall was ticking toward midnight, but they didn't wait. Francesca stepped in. She placed her hand on his chest. The room went quiet as everyone processed what was happening. She kissed him. I stood up then. I couldn't help it. The chair scraped loudly against the floor, but nobody heard it over the gasp of 300 people. He held her waist. He pulled her closer. It lasted for 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a long time when your heart is breaking. When they pulled apart, Adrian didn't look ashamed. He looked flushed. Excited. Francesca looked straight at the camera flashing in the front row. Then her eyes scanned the room until they found me. She didn't look sorry. She looked like she had one. The room was buzzing with whispers now. Eyes were darting from them to me. The pitiful pregnant wife in the corner. Adrian cleared his throat. "It's a Christmas spirit," he joked into the microphone. A few people laughed nervously, but most just stared. He came down the stairs, Francesca right behind him. He walked straight toward me. I was trembling. My hands were shaking so bad I had to ball them into fists. He reached me. He smelled like her perfume now. "Ready to go?" he asked casually, as if he hadn't just humiliated me in front of the entire city. "What was that?" I whispered. My voice sounded broken. "What was what?" He checked his phone. "The kiss? Helen, don't start. It was a joke. A celebration. Everyone kisses on Christmas. Don't make a scene. A joke." I felt tears stinging my eyes. "You kissed her, Adrian. On the mouth. In front of everyone. In front of me. You're being hormonal." he hissed, stepping closer so nobody else could hear. His face changed from the charming doctor to the cold man I lived with. You are embarrassing me. Look at you. You're emotional and irrational. It meant nothing. It didn't look like anything, I said, my voice rising. Lower your voice, he ordered. He grabbed my elbow. His grip was tight. Too tight. We are going to the car. You are going to smile at the donors as we leave. And we are going to go home. No, I said. He stopped. Excuse me. I said no. I'm not going in the car with you. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Helen, you are 6 months pregnant. You have no money. You have no car keys. You are coming with me or you are walking home in the snow. Make a choice. I looked at him. I looked at Francesca, who was standing a few feet away, pretending to talk to a donor but watching us with a smirk. He was right. I had nothing. He controlled the bank accounts. He leased the cars in his name. I was trapped. I let him guide me out of the ballroom. I felt the pitying stares of the other wives. I felt small. I felt weak. But as we walked through the lobby toward the valet, something shifted inside me. Maybe it was the baby kicking my rib, reminding me that I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. Maybe it was the way Francesca waved at him as we left, a little see you later wave. We got to the valet stand. The attendant ran to get the car. Wait here, Adrian said, walking over to tip the attendant. I stood there in the cold air. The wind bit at my bare arms. I looked down at my purse. I had my phone. I had my ID. And I had a single credit card that I kept for household emergencies, the only one he let me carry. I looked at Adrian's back. He was laughing with the valet guy. He looked so confident, so untouchable. He thought he had one. He thought I would go home, cry myself to sleep, and wake up and make him breakfast like a good little wife. I wasn't going to do that. I turned around. I didn't wait for the car. I walked back into the hotel. Helen! I heard him shout behind me. Helen! Where the hell are you going? I didn't stop. I walked straight past the security guard back into the lobby. I wasn't going back to the party. I was going to the one place he wouldn't follow me. I went to the ladies' restroom. I pushed the door open. It was empty, thankfully. The marble sinks were gleaming. I walked over to the mirror and looked at myself. Mascara was running down my face. Pull yourself together, Helen, I whispered. I splashed cold water on my face. I needed a plan. I couldn't just run away with no money. I needed leverage. Suddenly, the bathroom door opened. I froze. I expected a guest. Instead, I saw Francesca in the mirror. She walked in, the red dress swishing around her legs. She saw me and didn't even blink. She walked right up to the sink next to me and started fixing her lipstick. Rough night? She asked, her voice light and airy. I stared at her. You have a lot of nerve coming in here. She laughed. It was a cruel tinkling sound. Oh, Helen. Sweetie. Don't be mad at me. I'm just giving him what he needs. Intellectual stimulation. Passion. Things you clearly stopped providing. She looked pointedly at my stomach. He's my husband, I said, my voice shaking. He's a man, she corrected, snapping her lipstick shut. And men like Adrian don't stay satisfied with being bored for long. He loves you in a way, like a pet. But he needs me. She turned to face me. Here is the reality check, Helen. He is going to leave you. Not until the baby is born, of course. It would look bad for his image. But once that kid is here, you're out. He's already seen the divorce lawyers. He's already moved the assets. My blood ran cold. You're lying. Am I? She pulled her phone out of her clutch. Ask him about the account in the Caymans. Or the apartment he bought in the city last week. The one under my name. She smiled, patted my shoulder as if comforting a child, and walked toward the door. Enjoy the rest of your pregnancy, Helen. Make the most of the big house while you can. She walked out. I stood there, gripping the edge of the sink until my knuckles turned white. He wasn't just cheating. He was planning to discard me. He was going to take my baby and throw me away. Rage, hot and blinding, flooded my chest. It burned away the sadness. It burned away the fear. I wasn't going to wait for him to leave me. I reached into my purse and pulled out my phone. I dialed a number I hadn't called in 3 years. A number Adrian told me to delete. "Hello," a deep voice answered. "It's me," I said. "I need help. And I need a lawyer. The sharkiest one, you know." But before I could say anything else, the bathroom door banged open again. This time it wasn't Francesca. It was Adrian. He had followed me into the ladies' room. His face was red with anger. "Who are you talking to?" he demanded, marching toward me. I dropped the phone. He grabbed my wrist, twisting it. I said, "Who are you talking to?" He looked down at the screen. The call was still connected. He saw the name on the screen. His face went pale. "You called him," Adrian whispered. "After everything I told you?" He looked at me with pure hatred. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life, Helen." I looked him dead in the eye. "No, Adrian. You did." And then I did the thing that left everyone speechless. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. Instead, I reached into my purse, pulled out his Black American Express card. The one linked to his primary business account, the one he thought he had taken back from me last week, and I snapped it in half right in front of his face. The sound was a sharp crack that echoed in the tiled bathroom. Adrian stared at the pieces falling to the floor. For a second he looked confused. "What? What are you doing? That's plastic. It means nothing. I can cancel it in 2 seconds." "I know," I said, my voice eerily calm. "But I'm not done." I pushed past him. He was too stunned to grab me again. I walked out of the restroom and didn't head for the exit. I turned left. "Helen," he hissed, chasing after me. "The exit is that way. Don't you dare go back there." I ignored him. I walked straight back into the ballroom. The party was in full swing. The jazz band was playing Silent Night. People were laughing, drinking, making deals. Francesca was still near the stage, holding court, basking in the attention. She saw me come in and rolled her eyes, whispering something to the woman next to her. Probably a joke about me coming back for more humiliation. I didn't stop at the edge of the room. I walked through the crowd. People parted for me, noticing the look on my face. It wasn't the look of a victim anymore. It was the look of a woman who had nothing left to lose. I walked right up the stairs to the stage. The band stopped playing. The room went silent again. Adrian was running toward the stage now, his face pale. He was making a cut-it motion with his hand to the sound guy, but it was too late. I grabbed the microphone stand. I lowered it. I looked out at the 300 faces staring at me. I looked at Francesca, whose smirk was faltering. I looked at Adrian, who was frozen at the bottom of the steps, terrified of making a scene by dragging a pregnant woman off stage. "Sorry to interrupt the music," I said. My voice was steady, amplified through the massive speakers. "I just wanted to add a little toast to my husband's earlier speech." The crowd murmured. They sensed blood. "Adrian mentioned that medicine is a team sport," I continued, locking eyes with him. "And he is right. He has a new teammate, Dr. Francesca Miller." I turned to Francesca. She looked like a deer in headlights. "Francesca was kind enough to inform me in the restroom just now that Adrian has bought a lovely apartment for her in the city," I said, smiling sweetly. "And that he has moved our assets to the Cayman Islands to prepare for our divorce once my baby is born." The gasp this time was different. It wasn't a shock, it was a scandal. The wealthy donors looked at Adrian with disgust. Affairs were one thing. Planning to abandon a pregnant wife and hide money was bad business. It was messy. So, I raised an imaginary glass. I want to congratulate them, because they deserve each other. And Adrian. I looked down at him. He was shaking his head, mouthing the words, "I will kill you." "You don't have to wait until the baby is born to serve the papers," I said. "Because I am leaving you. Tonight. Merry Christmas." I dropped the microphone. It hit the floor with a deafening thud that rang through the hall. Silence. Total absolute silence. I walked down the stairs. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. Nobody looked at Adrian. They were all looking at me with a mix of horror and respect. I walked toward the main doors. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would explode, but I kept my head high. I made it to the lobby. I heard footsteps running behind me. Fast. Aggressive. Helen. Adrian grabbed my arm right before I reached the revolving doors. He spun me around. He wasn't caring about the cameras anymore. His eyes were wild. "You be asterisk 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 H," he spat, his spit landing on my cheek. "Do you have any idea what you just did? You just humiliated me in front of the board. In front of the donors." "I told the truth," I said, yanking my arm away. "You destroyed me," he screamed. "You think you can just leave? You have nothing. I own the house. I own your car. I own the clothes on your back. You are going nowhere." "She's not going anywhere, Adrian." The voice came from the revolving doors. It was deep, calm, and dangerous. Adrian froze. We both turned. Standing there, shaking the snow off a long black trench coat, was a man. He was tall, black, with broad shoulders and a scar running through his left eyebrow. He didn't look like the doctors and donors inside. He looked like trouble. It was Jaden. Adrian stepped back. "Who the hell is this?" Jaden didn't look at Adrian. He looked at me. His dark eyes softened instantly. He looked at my belly, then at my face. "I got here as fast as I could," Jaden said to me. "The traffic was bad." "You know this guy?" Adrian demanded, looking between us. "Is this who you called?" "Some thug." Jaden finally looked at Adrian. He didn't yell. He just stepped forward, invading Adrian's personal space. Jaden was taller, broader. Adrian shrank back. "I'm the guy she should have married," Jaden said quietly. "And if you touch her one more time, I'm going to be the guy who puts you in your own trauma unit." Adrian scoffed, trying to regain his composure. "This is ridiculous. Helen, get back inside. We will discuss this at home. You are making a scene with this criminal." "He's not a criminal," I said, stepping next to Jaden. I felt a wave of heat radiating off him. Felt like safety. "He's the only honest man I know." "He's a nobody." Adrian laughed, looking at Jaden's plain black t-shirt under the coat. "Look at him. What is he going to do? Take you to a diner? You're used to caviar, Helen. You won't last a day." Jaden smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a set of keys. He pressed a button. Outside, through the glass doors, the headlights of a car flashed. It wasn't a taxi. It wasn't a sedan. It was a Rolls-Royce Phantom. Matte black. Parked right in front of the entrance, blocking Adrian's Mercedes. Adrian's jaw dropped. He knew cars. He knew that car cost more than his house. "Whose car is that?" Adrian stammered. "Mine," Jaden said calmly. "I did well for myself after you stole my business idea 5 years ago, Adrian. Remember that? The medical patent you claimed was yours." Adrian's face went white. He remembered. "Now," Jaden offered me his arm. "Helen." I looked at Adrian one last time. He looked small, defeated. Francesca had come out to the lobby now, watching from a distance, looking terrified as she realized the money she was chasing might be in jeopardy. I took Jaden's arm. "Let's go." We walked out into the cold night air. The snow was falling harder now. Jaden opened the heavy door of the Rolls-Royce for me, helping me in gently, mindful of my bump. The leather seats were warm. He got on the driver's side and started the engine. Purred like a beast. As we pulled away, I looked in the side mirror. I saw Adrian standing in the snow watching us leave. He looked alone. But as I settled into the seat, the adrenaline started to fade. The reality hit me. I had just blown up my life. I was 6 months pregnant. I had no cash. I was in a car with a man I hadn't seen in 5 years. A man I had left because Adrian told me he was dangerous. Where are we going? I asked, my voice trembling. Jaden looked at me in the rearview mirror. To a safe house. My place. He can't get to you there. He will come for me, I whispered. He won't let me go. He thinks he owns me. And he has lawyers, Jaden. He'll take the baby. Jaden tightened his grip on the steering wheel. Let him try. I've been waiting for a reason to take him down for years. Tonight, you just gave me the green light. I looked at him. Why did you come? After how I left you? He was silent for a moment. Then he said, because you called. We drove in silence for a few minutes. The city lights blurred past us. I started to relax just a fraction. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Adrian. You think you won? Check your email. I just canceled your health insurance. And Helen? I know about the secret you've been keeping about the baby. If you don't turn that car around right now, I will tell the world. And Jaden will dump you on the side of the road. My heart stopped. The phone slipped from my hand. He knew. How did he know? Helen, Jaden asked, glancing over. What's wrong? You look like you saw a ghost. I couldn't breathe. If Adrian knew the secret, everything I had just done was for nothing. If he told the truth about the baby, Jaden wouldn't protect me. Nobody would. Stop the car, I whispered. What? Stop the car. I screamed. Jaden slammed on the brakes. The heavy car skidded slightly on the ice before coming to a halt on the deserted highway. Helen, what is it? I looked at him, tears streaming down my face. I can't go with you. I have to go back. Jaden looked confused. Are you crazy? He'll destroy you. He already has, I sobbed. Jaden, there's something I didn't tell you. There's something about this baby. I took a deep breath, preparing to say the words that would make him kick me out into the snow. The baby isn't going to have a father if I leave. I stammered, the real words getting stuck in my throat. Jaden looked at me confused. What? That's what you're worried about? That's the secret. No. I cried, gripping his arm. Read the text, Jaden. Really read it. Adrian says he knows. He told me last week that he had a vasectomy 3 years ago. He showed me the medical papers. He swore that he couldn't have children. He told me that this baby must be the result of an affair. He's been holding it over my head for months, telling me that if I step out of line, he'll prove I'm a cheater in court and leave me with nothing. I looked down, shame burning my cheeks. I didn't cheat, Jaden. I swear on my life I never touched another man. But the papers, they looked real. And if the world thinks I'm a liar, if you think I'm a liar. Jaden stared at me. The car was silent except for the hum of the engine and the wind howling outside. He looked at the text message on my phone, then he looked back at me. Then he started to laugh. It wasn't a mocking laugh. It was a cold, hard laugh of disbelief. Helen, he said, his voice low. Adrian isn't sterile. I blinked. How do you know? He's a doctor. He has the records. Because, Jaden said, shifting the car back into gear and peeling onto the highway. 3 years ago, right before you married him, Adrian and I were at the same medical conference in Geneva. He got drunk. He bragged to a table full of investors that he had frozen his sperm and had a fertility workup because he wanted to make sure his legacy was secured before he started dating you. He's perfectly fertile, Helen. He forged those papers to control you, to make you feel like you owed him for accepting a baby he knew was his all along. My mouth fell open. The realization hit me like a physical blow. He had gaslighted me. For 6 months. He let me cry myself to sleep, wondering if I had somehow blacked out and cheated, wondering if I was crazy. He tortured me with a lie just to keep me submissive. He's a monster, I whispered. He's a dead man, Jaden corrected. Now sit back. We are almost there. We drove for another 20 minutes until we reached a private airstrip on the edge of the city. I looked around nervously. An airport? I asked. My jet is waiting, Jaden said. The safe house isn't in the city, Helen. It's in Paris. We are leaving the country tonight. By the time Adrian wakes up tomorrow and calls his lawyers, we will be eating croissants by the Eiffel Tower. My heart soared. Paris. Freedom. Jaden pulled the Rolls-Royce right up to the steps of a sleek private jet. The engines were already running. Come on, he said, jumping out and running around to open my door. I stepped out into the snow. The noise of the jet engines was loud, but it sounded like victory. I took Jaden's hand. We started walking toward the stairs. But then a black SUV screeched onto the tarmac, blocking our path to the jet. My blood turned to ice. The doors flew open. 2 large security guards stepped out. And then Adrian. He wasn't wearing his tuxedo jacket anymore. His shirt was unbuttoned, his face red and sweaty. He looked unhinged. You really thought it would be that easy? Adrian screamed over the roar of the engines. You think I don't have a tracker on your phone, Helen? I own the network. Jaden stepped in front of me, shielding my body with his. Get back in the car, Helen. No, Adrian shouted, pulling a gun from his waistband. I gasped. The security guards looked nervous, but they didn't stop him. You are not taking my wife, Adrian spat, stepping forward and grabbing my wrist. His grip was bruising. And you are not taking my heir. That baby is mine. Oh, so now it's yours? I yelled, trying to wrench my arm free. 5 minutes ago you were texting me that I was a cheater. You told me you had a vasectomy. Adrian's eyes flickered, manic and desperate. He yanked me closer, almost making me stumble in the snow. I said what I had to say to keep you in line. You were getting too independent, Helen. I had to break you down to build you back up. That's how love works. That is not love. I screamed. That is sickness. Let me go. You're coming with me. Adrian roared. He tried to drag me toward his SUV. Jaden moved faster than I had ever seen. He didn't use a weapon. He didn't need one. He stepped in, broke Adrian's grip on my wrist with a sharp chop, and shoved Adrian backward. Adrian stumbled and fell hard onto the icy tarmac. He scrambled to get up, his face purple with rage. He lunged at Jaden with his fists raised. I will kill you, Adrian screamed. I wouldn't do that, Jaden said, standing his ground, not even raising his hands. Why? Are you scared? Adrian sneered, breathing heavily. No, Jaden said calmly. He pointed past Adrian's shoulder. Because of them. Adrian froze. He turned around. He hadn't heard them over his own screaming. 3 police cruisers had silently boxed in his SUV. 6 officers were already out of the cars, tasers drawn and aimed right at his chest. Adrian Vance, an officer shouted. Get on the ground. Now. Adrian looked at the police. He looked at me. He looked at the private jet that represented the freedom he could never buy. Helen. He whined, his voice suddenly small and pathetic. Tell them it's a mistake. I'm the victim here. I looked at the man I had spent 3 years trying to please. The man who made me feel small. The man who kissed his mistress in front of me and called it a joke. I walked up to him. I was inches away, but I wasn't afraid anymore. You're not a victim, Adrian, I said, my voice steady. And you're not a father. You're just an inmate. I turned around and walked back to Jaden. On the ground, the police shouted, tackling Adrian into the snow as he tried to run. We didn't watch him get cuffed. Jaden guided me up the stairs of the jet. As we stepped into the warm, luxurious cabin, the door sealed shut behind us, locking out the cold, the sirens, and the past. I sank into a soft leather seat. My hands were trembling, but Jaden was there. He knelt in front of me, taking my hands in his. Are you okay? He asked softly. I looked at him. You saved me. You saved yourself, he said. He reached out and gently touched my belly. I promise you, Helen, you will never have to worry about money or safety or lies ever again. I never stopped loving you. Not for one day. Tears streamed down my face, but they were happy tears. But the baby, it's his. Jaden smiled, and it was the warmest thing I had ever seen. DNA doesn't make a father, Helen. Love does. And I'm going to love this kid more than he ever could. He leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't a showy kiss for a crowd. It was soft, sweet, and full of promise. It was a Christmas kiss. 3 months later. The hospital room was bright and sunny. Push Helen one more time, the doctor said. I gripped Jaden's hand. He had been there for every doctor's appointment, every craving, every kick. With one final cry I pushed. And then the sound of a baby crying filled the room. It's a girl, the doctor smiled, placing the baby on my chest. She was beautiful. She had my nose and bright, curious eyes. She's perfect, Jaden whispered, kissing my forehead. I looked at the TV mounted on the wall. The news was playing on mute. A headline scrolled across the bottom. Disgraced Surgeon Adrian Vance sentenced to 10 years for fraud and assault. Medical license revoked. I smiled and asked the nurse to turn the TV off. I looked down at my daughter. I looked at Jaden, the man who stepped up when the world fell apart. What should we name her? Jaden asked. I kissed her tiny head. Eve, I said. Because she was the beginning of everything. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more revenge on billionaire cheaters, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the like. Comment karma below if you think Adrian got what he deserved. Thanks for watching.